All right, on this episode of Channel RM, we're going to get into a little bit of custom work and a little bit of upgrades. Biggest upgrade we're going to do is I got trailing arm bushings. Mine are blown out. They've been blown out. I kind of just filled them in with urethane like 2 years ago, and we're going to see how that held up because I just used the window urethane. And then we're going to put these in. I already have poly subframe bushings in, but these are subframe risers and they're solid. So as long as they fit, we're gonna epoxy them in, I think, just to help them a little bit. But yeah, the goal is just like with any S chassis, 350Z, any car that has a subframe, people are raising the subframe. This really helps with suspension geometry. Not only will this help me with suspension geometry, but it will help me with axle geometry. And that is the biggest thing I'm trying to take away from this is I'm snapping axles. They're getting too tight. I wish I could show you what angle they're at. I might try to while coilover's off. Just at ride height, my axles are like this. So heavy dips are articulations on the track and they're just leaving me. So I've snapped a lot of axles. Eventually this country is going to be out of axles for these cars, thanks to me. So I'm trying to stop this. Before I did the softer suspension in the back, I didn't break axles. So it is for sure the suspension geometry. And it's not snapping the axle, it's snapping, I'm sick, I'm sorry. It's snapping the cage, okay? And that's due to the articulation. So hopefully these will help. I have another helpful thing as well to do if this helps but doesn't solve it. I also want to raise the diff. The way the diff is designed on these cars, I think it would be super easy to just make some offset bushings like they do for the FRS and 350Zs. So I think it would be really easy to get some machined up. Same guy who did these, awesome guy. He wants to sell these, so hopefully if anybody wants these after I post the video, I can get you in contact with him and he can make them for you. But let's hope they fit first. I did take measurements off of a factory bushing. Well, not factory bushing, but a factory polyurethane bushing. So these should fit. I'm hoping they fit tight. Yeah, so you're going to come through. We're going to drop the subframe out. We're going to do these. I might do a diff flush because why not? And then I have one other upgrade I want to do to the diff as well. And I'll explain when we get to that point because these diffs have a little weird issue because they're so tiny. And then other than that, I'm going to do a bolt check. And then I want to finish getting these bolted on and painted because we're not going to spring mat theory next week with those looking like that. Not happening. Lame. Yeah. And then that's when your tires come on, and then we're gonna get this thing cleaned up and prepped and ready to go for its first big drift event of the year. We've obviously already been to a couple small events, but this is the first big one. This is the first party of the year, and I'm just so excited and I'm really nervous because the car's kind of been sitting since the drift mansion, and I don't know. I always get weary when cars sit for a while. They just seem like they always accumulate some stupid problem. So we'll see, but let's get through it. I'm super excited to get back to YouTube videos again, so let's get to it. All right, it's been a hell of a day so far. We got everything apart. These ones fit perfectly. They went right in, beautiful. They'll go in a little bit more once I tighten it down. These did not fit at all. It's been a rough couple hours, like hand machining them down, and we had to do a lot of nonsense. And then they ended up being too tall, so I ended up having to cut. After I got them in, I ended up having to cut a quarter of an inch off of them. So that was kind of annoying. I still have to finish cleaning them up a little bit, and then we're gonna put a little bit of paint on it on top, and then we're gonna get this thing thrown in. It is storming outside out of nowhere. It's crazy. But otherwise, we were gonna put trailing arm bushings in, and I went to go put them in, and they are not correct. I don't know what they're for. They might be for the knuckle, but I'm not 100% sure. Because I even looked up the part number and it says trailing arm, but they're like really small compared to that. So what I did was I reversed the bolt and put the nut on top, and I welded the nut, and then I cut the bolt off flush, and then that should give us enough room right there to get this bolt out. So I could do this control arm next couple weeks or whatever after the event without pulling the subframe back out, because that's the big thing, and I really don't want to do that again. So I did try to wash the subframe, but then my pressure washer grenaded from the inside out. So it's just been a fun day. So let's just go ahead and get these cleaned up, get some paint on the top, and get it back in, because I'm kind of over this now. All right, so I got everything put together except the exhaust, because I need a second hand. And there was 50 people here all day, but now I'm by myself as usual, and I can't get the exhaust on by myself. So that'll be a tomorrow job, and I need to bleed the brakes, so both tomorrow. But I can get them in. I greased the tops to stop any corrosion from happening. I know aluminum and steel don't mix super well, so I did that. The control arm bushings were wrong. They're actually not for that side, which is the side I need. They're for this side, which I will change, but I figure there's no point taking it apart and doing one. I'm just going to do both of them when I get the new control arms, which I'm probably going to order some BMRs because they're the cheapest that I can find that are decent. Some companies want like $500-$600 for those control arms, and I refuse. It's just a straight arm, so that's not happening. The Cadillac tax is ridiculous. I can't stand it. But either way, you can definitely tell there is a geometry change. My axle is tilted down versus before is actually slightly tilted up. I know it's not a big factor on what changed, but I am excited to see that. So hopefully on the next episode, which will be from Matt, we will get some insight on if it helped or not. And then the next upgrades are going to be, I'm going to replace both of these bushings and then the new control arms. So that's going to be on my list. And then I'm probably going to do some stainless brake lines too. Those are the only rubber left on the car. Everything else is stainless. So I'd like to get rid of that too. And yeah, just keep it pushing. So thank you guys for following along. If you guys made it this far, you're awesome. Love you. I love you anyway. If you didn't get this far, you just won't know it. But it is what it is. And yeah, please like or don't, subscribe or don't, and yeah.